Good evening and happy Labor Day to you all. I hope y'all had enough to eat, had enough barbecue. This is literally the last holiday. I wouldn't say the last barbecuing day if there's nice days out there. So today, I just want to kind of talk about uh, some of the things that I've been going through mentally. Um, I just been having some bad days. I I know some people probably think, well, Carla, you should just get over it. You know, you're recovering from a stroke, you're able to do all the things. But what some of you might not know is that I suffered from depression before I had a stroke. So having a stroke just multiplied that times 1,000. No, I wish I could just get over it. You know, I know that I'm blessed to still be here since being I had a hemorrhagic stroke. It could have went a totally different way. I'm entitled to my feelings. You know, I don't have survivor's guilt. I'm glad that I'm here. You know, I lived in Atlanta for 13 years to come back here. You know, the people that I would kick it with, you know, they have their own lives. So I'm left to deal with what do I do with myself? Where do I fit in? What do I do? You know, I do like taking pictures. I know I can have hobbies and crossword puzzles to keep my brain functioning. But that get old after a while. There's only so much TV you can watch. You know, I'm not really these days a big TV watcher. Most of the time, the TV is watching me. Uh, I just have days where I'm just down. You know, just like today. You know, I'm just here. You know, I didn't want to go to the barbecue with my mom and hang with her friends. Those are her friends. Those are, you know, I love them, but they're not my age group. Of course, some would say, Carly, you're a golden girl too. Well, not to that extent. Um, I also need to learn how to cope differently when people do you wrong or do things that are not cool. I can't, internalize things like I used to, you know, getting angry and holding on to the anger or dealing with people who don't act the way that you expect. And I guess you could say that's my fault. You know, you can't expect people to be the type of person that you are. You know, we can't put those on those expectations on people because you always get disappointed when you do. Trust me, I know. Or dealing with holding on to people and things for too long. Sometimes you just need to let it go and walk away. So I need to focus on these things myself. You know, I went on Chat GPT to ask, how to deal with being unhappy, knowing that I survived having a stroke. And it gave me, some suggestions. Not that I'm ungrateful and not that I'm not thankful, but I have to become okay with not being the Carla that I once was before the stroke. Uh, so that's a hard task. I have to become okay and make normal the Carla that I am today. So, trying to do that has been a task. I have lost some of my independence. I can't come and go as I please. I guess it wouldn't be so bad if I have these days where no one is around or I'm not around different ones just to get up and move around. Well, I can't right now. Um, some would say, well, Carla, I didn't know that you suffer from from depression? Well, you would know. Uh, some things I don't care to share with everybody, but I guess I'm being awfully transparent today. Some would say, you're intelligent, you know, you're funny as all get out. Well, that's me too. But I'm also a person that suffers from depression. All those things are me. Um, I guess it's just been coming more often than I would like. Uh, so, I'm just going to focus on getting myself together, trying to live the best life that I can live. I have more time behind me than I do in front of me, and God saved me for a reason. So I guess could say that I need to get out of my own way. So as always, be grateful, be thankful, and keep it positive.